Hello everyone, my name is Sirus. I'm a registered migration agent here at Sirus Migration. Welcome to our live session, episode 8. We've discussed about it a few times, but yeah. So today we got quite a few topics listed. I'm sorry. Technical error at the get-go. So we'll start again. My name is Sirus. I'm a registered migration agent here at Sirus Migration, and I've got my lovely wife right next to me, Ashani Yapa. She's a registered migration agent as well, and we are here to discuss
Australian Migration Matters. This is our
And
live
updates.
show that we do every week, 12 p.m. Brisbane time
on Thursday.
on Thursdays, and we are located in Brisbane. A bit of some housekeeping rules coming from our back-end team. Please don't leave your personal details in the comments, because everyone have access to the comments in YouTube and Facebook.
It could be vulnerable to spammers and other people.
That's right. And if you have any inquiries, we try to answer all your questions during our session, but if we can't, we normally get back to you. And just in case, you can email us at admin@sirus.com.au, and you can call us 0733618177. And if you're offshore, Australian country code is +61.
So today we're going to talk about quite a few topics, including mostly around employee-nominated visas,
Yes.
482, 186, 494. And we'll touch base with you with some of the updates. There's not too many, but what's out there. And also, it's going to be very interesting next week. We're going to be in Gold Coast live from TAFE College in Gold Coast, talking about nursing in their facilities. So it will be a combined video with our education department and the migration. So there'll be lots of
And that's Thursday?
skill migration
Thursday?
Thursday
Okay.
next week. So
Nice.
so today, before we start, again, if you have any questions, list it down below in the comment section. If you're coming to us through YouTube, please make sure if we couldn't answer your question during the live session, we will be reposting the video. So repost your, as soon as we repost the video, please retype your question, and we will endeavor to get back to your questions as soon as we get there. And as I tell you always, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please hit the subscribe button in YouTube or like button in Facebook. So each week when we do the education and also migration live videos, and as well as new news updates and immigration updates with regards to Australian immigration news, you'll be updated each time we post a video weekly at least. So
Employee-nominated visas.
visas.
We decided to cover this topic with a good reason.
Yeah.
In recent times, people who are offshore and also people who are here in Australia struggling with skilled migration, that's a known fact. The reason being, most of the states came up with a very few occupations which are available for their states, pretty much like 17, 18 occupations. But we have applicants who have graduated and who have experience in hundreds of occupations, looking to permanently settled in Australia. So those people are looking at other options, and some of them are already working, and the options sometimes they don't know or they don't consider is the employee-nominated visa. And because there are not many people coming from offshore, it hasn't been many people coming from offshore in the past year, and looks like it will be like that for the rest of this year as well. So employers are also struggling a little bit with finding the capable employees. So put 2 and 2 together comes the employee-nominated visa.
Actually, looking at one of the videos we shared not long ago through our Facebook channel, there is big demand out there for tradies at the moment. Massive. The video that we shared with Channel 9 information. Certain big builders based in Australia, they're struggling to have their workflow going with the number of qualified tradies they have. So that's an opportunity opening up for skill migration to Australia with the trade qualification. There are good pathways to building and construction industries as well as other industries. We see we've been working in quite a few IT sector and
Yeah, all
what's
sectors actually. I think every sector is struggling. So they do give priority to 17 occupations, which are mainly health sector, like registered nurses, doctors, RMOs, resident medical officers, and some software engineers, developer, programmer. There are about 17, 18 occupations that are in demand. That doesn't mean they're the only occupation who are lacking the skilled employees. So that's why for employee nominated visas, it doesn't stick to the 17 or 18 occupations. The occupation list is big.
quite big.
It's about 200, 300 occupation, even 600 occupation if you consider all of the streams, subclass 482, subclass 186, and 494. They are the main three employee nominated visa categories that we are going to talk about today. So that doesn't have the 17 occupation list. It could be an accountant, which is on the medium to long term list and has the ability to get the sponsorship for permanent residency subclass 186, 482, or subclass 494. So that's why we thought we will talk about eligibility of these visa subclasses and how you can be eligible for this as an employer as well as an employee.
Talking about the subclasses, 482 we could say a pathway to permanent residency as well. 482 visa, it's a replacement of abolished previous subclass 457, which was very famous. So for you to get into 482 visa subclass, your occupation needs to be within either short-term skill occupation list or medium to long-term skill occupation list. So these are extended occupation lists from normal skill occupation list. If your occupation is in short-term skill occupation list, your visa is granted for
Up to 2
years, but there is no straight permanent pathways.
Yeah, and also with this occupation, there's no state concern at all. So it doesn't matter if the state likes that occupation or not, as long as your employer is willing to sponsor you and if they have the actual demand, then there's no point system. So you don't have to get 80, 90, 100 points or anything like that. Just the employer really needs you. And then you need to have a job offer and you need to have certain mandatory requirements such as your age, your English, and your work experience and also your qualifications. And in a rare case, it may need a skills assessment, but then again, it's only for some occupations. So most of the occupation, you don't even need a skills assessment.
So English, talking about English, you only need IELTS equivalent of IELTS 5. But depending on the occupation, certain occupations, such as, for an example, the easiest one I could think of is nursing. NMAC requires nursing registration body, they require you to have IELTS 7 in each band. So in that case, even though the visa requires only 5, you're required to have IELTS 7 as a guideline.
Yeah, so that comes in because that occupation needs a special registration. So is the doctor needs a special registration. And of course, if you want to work in Australia in that occupation, you need to have the certain registration to do that. So that's where that requirement comes from, isn't it?
So if you're a carpenter, plumber, office manager,
list of occupations,
so you don't need to have your minimum requirement is IELTS 5. and also it doesn't have to be academic. It can be academic, but it doesn't have to be. It can be general or academic. So 482, if your occupation is in medium to long occupational list, after 3 years you have a way to apply for permanent residency through 186 TRT pathway. So 186 TRT get you and your family into permanent residency, and also while you're in 482 visa, your kids can go to public schools at no extra cost or free. If you have a skill assessment and also with 3 years work experience.
3 years post qualification,
Work
full-time work experience.
Yeah.
For 186 is little bit strict,
Correct.
not like the 482. 482 they say 2 years full-time equivalent work experience, but for 186, that's why a lot of people go to 482 instead of 186 in the first instance, to build that work experience and to build that the work experience, and get the skills assessment.
Yeah.
So they will be ready for the 186. Why is it strict? Because it's permanent residency, I believe.
Yes.
Because you are getting direct permanent residency through 186. The expectation is for you to work for your employer for at least 2 years. But then again, there's no state involvement. Your employer could be in Brisbane and then they could move you to Sydney. Doesn't matter, because it is to do with the employer and it is to do with the Department of Home Affairs, nothing to do with the state.
So 186 has two different pathways.
Few different pathways.
Yes. First one is 186 TRT. The other one is 186 direct entry. 186 direct entry is the one we just talked about, where you need to have 3 years post qualification full-time work experience and a skill assessment. Whereas 186 TRT, you need to go through the 482 visa, work for someone in 3 years, and then apply for this visa. 482, you don't have to do if you have previous work experience and if you qualified for 186 direct entry. So maybe some people, they get qualified within after 1 year.
Yeah.
Or
so they don't
6
have
months.
to wait for the full 3
years.
years. You have the ability to lodge the 186 direct entry. You don't have to wait for the 3 years. But sometimes the problem with that is your employer has already nominated you for 4 years and paid the fees for 4 years, because this the 482 visa, some part of the fees has to come from the employer. They may not willing to spend more money on another sponsorship for 186 just after 1 year of sponsoring you. So some few things to keep in mind with these employer-nominated visas. Even though they're great visas, they can be a little bit complicated as well, because it involves few parties and it has few steps. So
that's where we come from. We will simplify and take the stress out of you, and we will guide you so you don't hit into corners where you would have visa cancellation and breaches that unknowingly get into breaches where you didn't realize that you were breaking a rule or a condition. So other than this 482 and 186, there is another extended list called ROL, Regional Occupation List. So if your primary work location is based in a regional area, which is pretty much, if you take out Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, and maybe 100-kilometer radius or beyond, please be in touch. We will give you the specific areas. So if you have any specific concerns, be in touch. So you can go into 494 visa, which gives you an extended list and also a little bit more incentives.
Yeah. It's a provisional visa, which has a permanent residency pathway through subclass 191. The good thing about this visa, again, though you do need a skills assessment and you do need the work experience, all of that, which is pretty similar to a subclass 186, then you would think, why would someone go for 494, not 186? The biggest reason is the occupation list. So most of the occupations who are in 186 has to be the MLTSS, which is the hardest list to get into, medium to long-term occupation list. But ROL has 600 something occupations in there. So if your occupation is not in the MLTSS list, then you are not eligible for 186. Then you need to look at the other occupation list and also look at where you're currently working. So if you're working in regional area, or if you can find work in regional area, then subclass 494 would be a really good option for you. And when we talked about the work experience, sometimes we get asked a lot of questions from confusing clients. The work experience for any of these visas does not have to be in Australia, and it does not have to be with your current employer or the employer who's giving you the nomination. So the work experience can be from anywhere in the world and during any time, it's fine. But your nominating employer can be someone new, doesn't have to have any relation with you in the past. So I think I thought I'll clear that out, because we get asked that question a lot about employer nominated visas.
So 494 is a replacement. I shouldn't say replacement. It's again the new way of assessing 187. The new version of 187 visa. 187 used to be a permanent visa back in the days, dedicated for regional Australia. This 187 used to be a permanent visa, but 494 is not a permanent visa. It's a provisional visa that where you have to work in the nominated occupation for 3 years and then go into subclass 191.
Yes, that's
to,
right. To gain permanent
permanent residency. So this part is mostly for employers. So employers, every time you sponsor someone, it's not as complicated, but there are certain obligations that you have with the Department of Immigration when you hiring someone with foreign passports. So one of the things is you need to pay the minimum benchmark if you are hiring someone from overseas. So the minimum benchmark at the moment is $53,900, and also your the pay for the foreign employee cannot be any less favorable than an Australian employee
in the similar
in the
scenario.
similar scenario. So if you have, for an example, if you are hiring a mechanic with 3 years experience, and if you have another mechanic in Australian mechanic in
With the same years of experience, they both have to get similar pay. You can't give the overseas employee any less pay, which is sort of like using this visa system. They want to make sure that Australians are not undermined by using this visa system, even though we use this to fulfill the labor shortages in Australia. So from an employer's side, the main requirements are for all of these visas, the employer have to do something called a labor market testing, which means they have to post some job advertisements, put some job ads out there, and show that they could not fulfill this position locally.
So you're required to demonstrate that you could not fulfill this occupation or the job duties with an Australian qualified person. So that's part of the requirements. And also for certain employers, we we take care of your employer sponsorship and the nomination part at no extra cost to you, or we also guide you through how to manage your obligations during the process as well. A good thing about this 482 program, 494 program, and also 186, the feedback that we're getting is certain times, especially in certain areas such as restaurants and hospitality industries, especially also mechanics. and specified occupations in regional areas, they get a commitment of at least 3 years. So you could rest assured that your nominated job duties have been fulfilled for that period of time. So we welcome you to ask us any questions related to this.
Yeah, and if you're working in Australia, if you have an employer, have a chat with them, see if this is a possibility. If you're not sure if your occupation is eligible, get in touch with a registered migration agent. They'll be able to tell you if you're eligible or not,
and what pathways you
and then
can.
what pathways you have. So I think we have about 10 minutes left and we have a lot of questions to get through. So we
Let's
will
get
go
into-
into the
yeah.
questions.
Are you-
In the same time, if you have any other questions, just let us know. I think I'll take YouTube and you can look at Facebook.
Yeah.
So in YouTube, I've got the first question is from Faizan, motor mechanic, 90 points plus 5, working in Sydney. EOI, June 2020. My chances for 190 New South Wales in the next financial year. So as you know, this financial year, your occupation's not there. So next financial year, I think you have a really good chance. 95 points is a good point. See if you can increase it while you're waiting. I don't know if you can in any way, maybe English, NATI, even Australian work experience if you have been working here for a certain amount of time. But I think you have a good chance in the next financial year because we are hoping things will somewhat go back into normal in July.
And also, if you're in motor mechanics and if you got that much skills, 95 is a very good point.
Yeah, see if your employer is willing to
Employers willing to
sponsor you.
sponsor you.
See
There's
if you
other
have how many
pathways.
work experience, how many years of work experience, if they're willing to sponsor you for 482, if not, maybe even for 407, the training visa.
Yeah.
Talk to them and see because there are other opportunities than waiting for the state. So I've got Sidra, enrolled nursing in New South Wales. Sidra, you're lucky. Enrolled nursing is one of the best occupations in Australia right now, especially depends on which subcategory it is as well, because aged care and few other subcategories are given higher priority. But again, I think enrolled nurse in New South Wales has a good chance of getting an invitation.
I've got another good question from Facebook, actually. Let's talk about this one. Ms. Nadi Disanayaka, thank you. She says it's a great session. Can I apply for 491 regional provisional visa and change the state and relocate to regional in another state?
No, Nadi, you can't do that because with 491, you get the nomination from the state. So you are attached to that state. You can somehow relocate in the same state to a different regional area. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble when you're going to apply for your permanent residency and when we go back to the state. And it is a requirement of 491 visa. Every time you change your address or change your employer, even if you have the visa granted, we have to let the department know. So they are going to track you where you're going. So no.
And also, but you're welcome to go into other pathways, though. As we talked about 482s and one.
But with the 491, once you hold the 491, you can't change to other pathways. So keep that in mind as well. You are not eligible to go into 482 or even partner visa, or some of the visa subclasses will be blocked for you once you get your 491.
So once you get the 491 granted, not the UI, at the UI stage you are eligible to apply for other visas, but when the visa is granted, you're not eligible, which is correct.
Okay, I have a really good question from Ozzy. Please advise how to get travel exemption regarding critical skill. I am overseas. So if you're overseas and if you're someone with a critical skill, first you need to have a visa to Australia. So it could be an employee nominated visa, some visa. As long as you have a visa, it could be a temporary visa, doesn't have to be a permanent visa. Then there is a link that you can log into it. It's a government Home Affairs link. You can go in there, log into it, and you can apply for a travel exemption. But not everybody is eligible. Just because you have a critical skill, if you don't have a visa, then you can't come here. If you can come here if you have a critical skill, if you have an employer, or a visa to Australia.
Or a global talent or some other visa.
Yeah.
Granted. And also, I've got a good question from Jamik Patel. Thank you for your question, Jamik. Your question is, can we apply for 186 visa with current employer?
Yes.
It's definitely a yes, but then again, depends on what's your
Yeah, as
background
long as you can fulfill the requirements, the work experience, the age, the English, and if your employer, I don't know what your occupation is, give us more details. If your occupation has any caveats, if your employer can meet them, then yes, your current employer can definitely sponsor you for 186.
Yes.
And I would love to handle it.
Share your interview, and also 186. We have to determine whether you're going through which stream, whether it's TRT or 186 direct entry. So do share your information with admin@sirus.com.au. You can also book an appointment to talk to us directly, so we can have a personalized one-on-one conversation with you. Our phone number is 0733618177. We don't allow automatic booking appointments without prior understanding of your background, because we want to tailor make the appointment with the best suitable migration agent for your category, and also we need to make sure you're best suited for that visa category as well. And I've got I'm getting really good questions from Facebook. Thank you guys for posting these questions. So I've got a question from Shara Ali. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. My name is Isuru. It's hard as Isur too. So Shara, your question is, for 482 work experience need to be nominated occupation, or can I add related occupation experience as well? So for
What's the
482,
question? Sorry.
work experience need to be nominated and be in nominated occupation, or can I add related occupation experiences as well? 482. So you can, when you talk about the occupation title is only a title. We look at the job duties. So 80% of the job duties has to be matched or eligible for that nomination. So if you go with a little bit further, if the ANSCO occupation for a chef is quite different to a cook. So if you're fulfilling chef's requirement, at least 80% of it, with whatever the name you call it with the current occupation, you can still be qualified as per that occupation. I hope I didn't confuse you.
Yes, so the answer is yes, you can claim your nominated occupation or closely related. So closely related is, so if the first 5 digits of the ANSCO has to be the same, 4 to 5 digits, then if the last few digits are different, then you can take them as closely related. And you can use the closely related experience for 482. And I've got a question.
And I'm going to extend, the time's up, but I'm going to extend the time for another 10 minutes because we've got really nice questions.
Yeah. I've got Manish here. Ma'am, I'm civil engineer. Which band I can eligible for Engineers Australia? I believe you're asking about your skills assessment. You need 6 in each band to get a skills assessment from Engineers Australia.
I've got another question from Martin Borrell. It's another good one as well. I'm currently unemployed, but I have work experience for 7 years in another country. What visa do you think I could apply between those 3? Thanks. So, Martin, it's you could be eligible for either 3 of them,
depending on where your potential employer is going to be.
Yeah.
So first you need to find a potential employer who's willing to sponsor you. Then we can use your work experience as the one of the requirements, if that answered your question.
So certain occupations with your experience, you don't need to have academic qualifications as well. Certain academic qualifications can be fulfilled by
5 to 6 years of experience.
And also then you need, after fulfilling those requirements, then if you have further 3 years experience, you can be at times qualified for 186 direct entry as well, which is permanent residency.
Because first we have to get the skill assessment. So getting the
So
skill
that-
assessment
yes.
could be.
So the answer is yes, you can be qualified for either one of the three. Please remember, for you to apply for employee-nominated visas, you need to have an employer who's willing to offer you a full-time job for minimum at least 3 years. So what's your occupation and have you got an employer is very important. So if you require further information, be in touch and we will share more knowledge with you.
I've got another question from Satiban. I have 75 points at the moment and intend to increase to 90 points. Which occupation is high in demand between civil engineer and construction project manager? Can you please advise on that? I know the construction project manager is on PMSOL, Priority Skill Migration Occupation List, but civil engineer is not. So the answer is construction project manager.
Yeah, it's
And
in priority
the
list.
next question is,
Can we
yeah,
quickly-
sure.
So I've got a question from Suranjana Nimala. Hi there. May I know how high are the chances for invite for an aged care nurse on a student visa working full time?
That is in Queensland, Suranjana. I can see that message as well.
Really?
Is that YouTube?
Yeah.
I'm on YouTube.
So
Are you on
you
YouTube?
must have
I'll
posted
send the
in both,
message
yeah.
into both platforms. Thank you
So-
for that. So, in Queensland, they don't usually nominate you unless you hold a visa with full-time work rights. But we have been in the past successful, maybe once, to get a registered nurse invitation because of COVID-19. Some occupations, some international students who are currently in critical occupations were allowed to work full-time. I think it is the case still. Some occupations you can work full time if you're a registered nurse in aged care. In that case, there is a slight chance. I'm really scared to say yes, you can get in touch with us. I'm more than welcome to inquire this possibility on behalf of you. If you are working currently full time in Queensland as a registered nurse, holding the registration, and you have a skill assessment. So
Thank
get
you.
in touch with me, Suranjana. I will look into it for you.
Sushil Adhikari, we got another question from Facebook, which is a really good one. 491. 491 at the moment is one of the hottest topics around the place with the restrictions. 491, the good thing is it's a replacement of 489. It gives you extra 15 points. So a lot of people with 50 points or above, you can be eligible to go in. The question is 491 visa, does the uni charge student fee as international students? It depends on the university. It brings me into a really good question. We had a lengthy discussion and a scholarship program designed with exclusive with us with University of Southern Queensland based in Toowoomba. I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about this. So with this university, there is a change or a reduced rate for 491 visa holders. It's not the same as permanent residents or citizens. For international students, there is one fee, and the 491, 485 visa holders or other visa holders, they get a little bit more reduced, discounted course fee depending on what course you do. So USQ, we got to know it's the one of the highest employed graduates. They have one of the highest employee graduated students who's got employed, and also these days USQ. USQ is in Toowoomba, which is about 90 to 100 kilometers away from Brisbane. Yeah, it's about 90 to just over an hour and a half drive from Brisbane. So beauty about these offers with USQ, when you study there, you get 5 points extra for studying in designated areas. And also, currently they're giving anyone who's getting enrolled through us a 25% discount, a scholarship for any program. So if you're an international student looking to enroll, whether you're onshore or offshore, it's one of the best points that the best opportunities they've given. So 25% discount for any course except for nursing. They're only offering 10% scholarship. And on top of it, this is getting better and better now. So the first 6 months, they're going to bear all your accommodation cost. I've never seen that offer anywhere before. And on top of it, they're giving you 2 months, 2 weeks quarantine period. They're going to bear that cost from the university as well. So scholarship program, quarantine program, and the 6 months accommodation, it cannot be better. And after 6 months, they have university, they call uni village, with an accommodation facility within the university. They only charge $85 per person per week. That includes all your costs for internet, electricity, and all that sort of thing. So it's a very good offer. Since you asked for 491 and we had this conversation last few days, I thought we just share it with you. So if you have any inquiries with studies, be in touch. Our education team can guide you through to the best courses in best universities at the best and the correct price.
Yeah, I think I'll just pick one more question. We have many questions, but we promised to get back to you with all your questions. We can do that, right? Through YouTube. They have already posted questions. Do they have to repost it? Okay, so if you are, I'm going to pick one question from YouTube, but I can see that there are other questions in YouTube. So please repost the question once we put the video out there. Then we will get back to all your questions. The question I'm going to pick is from Neil. Hi all, I have applied for 190 and 491 for February round in Queensland. Software developer with 90 points for 190 and 100 points for 491. But I have not heard anything from BSMQ. Are they slow? So there is a slight chance that you will hear from them, but 100 points for 491 for software developer, it's quite good. 190, you probably didn't get invited because they were limited to the PMSOL, the critical list, and also the other critical areas of COVID recovery. That's probably why you didn't hear from 190. But with 491, you should have heard from them. I just want to ask if you have written to BSMQ after applying to explain how you help with the COVID recovery. If not, maybe get in touch with them. But you should have heard from them. There is still a chance that you will hear from them. Okay, so the rest of the questions, once we repost the video, please do put your questions in there so we can get back to you. If not, please email us admin@sirus.com.au or give us a call. We will give you a consultation and answer your questions personally.
I've got two more questions, but I think Ashani's already answered the Satispan's question about the civil engineer or construction project manager. So construction project manager. And there is another question. So Social Adhikari, he's got another question on top of what we discussed about the uni fees. So his university has charged the normal international fees. So this reduced fees only, it depends on the university. There is no regulations governing them to reduce the cost or anything like that. So if you want to check whether you have missed out or if you want to renegotiate or something like that, maybe be in touch with us, admin@sirus.com.au or 0733618177. Across Australia, any university or institute, we should be able to advise and guide you through how to get the best results. And also, if you have issue as an international student, we're here to help. We don't normally charge international students any admission charges. So again, thank you very much for joining with us, and it's been a wonderful session again with you, and hope we were helpful to answer some of your questions. If there's anything else, please repost your questions or be in touch with us with admin@sirus.com.au 0733618177.
And
Don't
next
forget
week,
the Facebook like
we
and the
will be
subscription
seeing
button.
you from Gold Coast next week.
Gold Coast.
Not me, these guys.
We will be in Gold Coast, TAFE, Queensland, at the nursing faculty, showing you the state-of-art latest facilities they have and the offers they have. They might be very new, great offers that are coming out from TAFE Queensland. TAFE Queensland is one of the government bodies that's pioneering in VET or vocational education sector. And I think they're the oldest provider in Australia as well. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend coming ahead after tomorrow, and stay safe. God bless.
See you next
See you next week. Bye-bye.